Hello guys and gals, Buffalo here. Welcome back to the range. In today's video, I'm going to be taking a look at 3 different types of 22 Magnum self-defense ammunition to see if I can determine which one performs the best out of the Walther WMP. I'll do a simple reliability test. I'll set the Lab Radar LX up and we'll gather some data to kind of analyze, and then we'll take a look at the terminal ballistics in a clear ballistics gel block. I'm doing this video by request today. I can't do every video that gets requested, but I do try to get to the ones that get requested the most, and this is one of those. I've got the Speer Gold Dot 40 grain jacketed hollow point. I've got the Federal Punch 45 grain jacketed hollow point, and I've got the Hornady Critical Defense, which is a 45 grain FTX bullet. There are other brands of 22 Magnum self-defense ammunition out there, and I'm not leaving them out of this test for any other reason than that these 3 are all I could find in stock when preparing for this video. Let's start the testing. Walther has done their own testing, and they've put out a list of ammunition that is supposed to be good to go in this pistol. And as you can see, Speer Gold Dot is on here, Hornady Critical Defense is on here, and the Federal Punch is covered by a broader statement saying that 40, 45, and 50 grain offerings from Federal are good to go. So I don't expect to have any functionality issues with any of this ammunition, but I want to run a couple of magazines of each type through the gun just to make sure. And the way that I'm going to do that, these are 15 round magazines. On the first magazine, I'm going to go ahead and top the gun off, then replenish that round. So we'll start out with 16 rounds, and then we'll load the second magazine in and just fire it as is. So we'll fire 31 rounds each of each type of ammunition and just see if we get any hiccups. So up first is the Speer Gold Dot. Okay, this is going to take a minute. What I'm going to do is I'm going to speed the video up, and if I do have a malfunction, I'll slow it back down to normal speed and we'll take a look at it. Same thing, except I've got it loaded up with Federal Punch. And now I've got the Critical Defense. Oh, got a failure to feed. Okay, so here's all 3 of these targets. What I don't want you guys to do is get too focused on the groups here. That's not why I wanted to shoot on paper. I realized that all these groups are just a little left. I was aiming center mass, and you can see they're just a little bit left, and that's because I just put that Go-Wutar A20 red dot on that pistol, and I haven't got it fully zeroed yet. I've just got it roughed in. But anyway, the reason I wanted to shoot cardboard was to make sure we didn't have any keyholing or anything like that going on. So this is the Gold Dot. You can see all nice round holes. Here's the Punch, same deal. Here's the Critical Defense. Again, nice and stable, nice round holes. With the Critical Defense, I did get that malfunction, but that pistol is very tight when you load it up to 15 rounds in the magazine plus 1 in the chamber. And I think it's probably more to do with the pistol than the ammunition, but I have to include that in the video because it happened. I did go back a second time, loaded it up with 15 in the magazine plus 1 in the chamber, fired the pistol, and it ran just fine. But like I said, it happened during my testing, so I have to include it, or otherwise, what am I even doing out here? It's time to take a look at some numbers to compare, and in order to gather those numbers, I'm going to use the Lab Radar LX. I want to thank Lab Radar for sending this over to the channel for me to use in my videos. This thing has made my life so much easier. It's so much easier to set up and use than my old chronograph, and I don't got to fight all those error codes. I'll keep things in the same order and start with the Speer Gold Dot. Now for the Federal Punch. And this is the Hornady Critical Defense. With the Speer Gold Dot ammunition, I got a 5-shot average of 1,282 feet per second at the muzzle. I got an extreme spread of 92, a standard deviation of 33, and that puts us at about 146 foot-pounds of energy. With the Federal Punch ammunition, I got a 5-shot average of 1,301 feet per second at the muzzle, an extreme spread of 60, and a standard deviation of 24 feet per second. That puts us at about 169 foot-pounds of energy. With the Hornady Critical Defense ammunition, I got a 5-shot average of 1,194 feet per second at the muzzle, an extreme spread of 108, and a standard deviation of 49. And that puts it at about 142 foot-pounds of energy. So looking at the numbers here side by side, you've really got to give it to Federal with this punch ammunition. Not only is it the hottest load of the bunch, it also has the lowest extreme spread and standard deviation. That's impressive. And then you look at the energy levels, and the punch really runs away with it. I would put the Speer Gold Dot in second place and the Critical Defense in third place. But will that mean anything in a gel block? Let's find out. I've got a brand new clear ballistics gel block ready to go. This is what they call their FBI block. It's 6 by 6 by 16 inches long, and it's a 10% gel. This is the same block that I've always used here on this channel. I've probably shot 12 or so of these over the years, and I've always bought and paid for those blocks. But with this one, when I contacted Clear Ballistics to place my order and I told them what video I was working on, they offered to help out and sent us this block for free. So this one's on Clear Ballistics, and I appreciate that. Stuff like that really goes a long way at helping me get these videos out. All right, I'm just going to shoot the bare block. The reason I do that, I always get asked, is for cohesion with my past videos. I can take these results and compare them to the calibrated blocks that I've used in the past. If I start putting stuff in front of the block, then the next time, whatever I put in front of the block is probably not going to be calibrated, so the next time it may be different. I just like to compare the same to the same. So I'm going to put 2 gold dots in it first. We're going to keep the same order going here. Two of the Federal Punch. And 2 of the Critical Defense. Okay, we caught everything in the block except for one of the gold dots. One of those passed through. So I'm going to hit it with one more gold dot. That way we've got 2 of each to look at. So when I show you guys these gel blocks, I'm not trying to convince you that one bullet is any better than the other. I'm just showing you the results, and you can kind of make up your own mind. Depends on what you like to see. We'll start over here. These are the gold dots. You can see all those tracks there. But over here's the gold dots. I shot 3 gold dots. One passed through. You can see that little trail right there where it passed through, and the other 2 are here. and here. You can see they did shed some petals. Both of those did. The one that passed through did not. Don't know if it expanded or not, but it did pass through. So the ones that didn't pass through, let me try to measure these. I am holding a camera, tape measure, and all this stuff by myself here. Oops. So it looks like one gold dot stopped at about 11 3/8. The other came to rest at about 13 inches. Looks like it went a little farther than that, then bounced back and settled at 13 inches. And of course one went out the back. So not very consistent performance with the gold dot, but still just a wicked little defensive round. Next over, we have the punch. Here and here, those settled at about 13 inches. I see that one of those shed a petal. And the lower one, look at that cavity around that lower one. Here's a look at those tracks. Just wicked looking stuff. Nice expansion. And then over here, here and here, we have the critical defense. You can see the little red polymer pieces that are in those bullets, those FTX bullets. And again, that lower one, look at that cavity around it. Wicked. And they settled a little farther out. They were consistent and both settled at about 14 inches. You can see too, both of those shed more than just a petal or two. They really came apart. So that depends on what you're looking for as far as bullet performance. I'll cut these out and we'll take a look at them. Here's a look from the side before I do that. You can see any of those would be very, very nasty. That critical defense just left a trail of debris. So here's a look at both of the gold dots that I recovered out of the block. These are the Federal Punch. And these are the critical defense. So here are all the bullets together. I try to keep everything in the same order all day today. These are the gold dots. This is the Federal Punch. And this is the critical defense. Of course, you can easily identify the critical defense by that red polymer stuff they put in them. But all these bullets performed well. I've been impressed by the consistency of the Federal Punch in every test we've done today. Of course, we had that little jam with the critical defense early on. Don't know if that was an ammo issue or not, but it did happen. So it is something to consider. And then the gold dot just hasn't been that consistent today. Even in the block, we saw one of these didn't meet the minimum 12 inches that everybody looks for. One of them passed through, and then the other settled at about, what, 12 3/4, 13 inches. All right, you saw the same data that I did. I'd be interested in hearing which ammo you thought came out on top. For me, it was the Federal Punch. It was just very consistent. It expanded nicely without coming apart, at least without coming apart very much. And the penetration was sufficient in the gel block. And the pistol really seemed to like that ammo. I think that Federal really hit a home run with that punch line of rimfire ammunition. That's about all I've got for today's video. It's starting to get rough out here. I do want to remind you guys that if anyone asks you to give up a little more of your freedom for the greater good, to remind them that freedom is the greater good. I'll talk at y'all again soon.